What will you do when the stock market crashes again? Dick and Hurl Do Capitalism is free on Amazon, Smashwords, and most major ebook retailers. Links in description. What's up, everybody? It's your boy again, the Unabonger.
And today, I am finally bringing you my CYBERFROG Bloodhoney review. For those of you who don't know, Ethan Van Sciver is a comic book artist who kind of originally hit the scene in the mid to late 90s with this character, CYBERFROG. He was very much in the vein of the Image artists, as you may be able to tell from this cover. He drew quite a bit different back then. I would say he was pretty McFarlane influenced. And even in here, I would say that there's some very McFarlane-esque shots. However, as far as my eye is concerned, I think Ethan has really, in the years since, he has started kind of taking a look more at Brian Bolland and tried to draw similarly to him. I'm not trying to be unflattering. I'm not trying to say that, hey, he's trying to be a clone of Brian Bolland. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm just saying, hey, man, I would say his art to me looks like the American Brian Bolland. That's what I would describe him as. I'm not trying to be disparaging in any way. But anyway, CYBERFROG. So anyway, I don't really know a whole lot about CYBERFROG. Without having read that before, my guess is that basically part one of this comic is kind of this recap. Kind of just the, hey, here's the basics of the origin of CYBERFROG. I think what it's really trying to do is be like in the past, kind of right when CYBERFROG got to Earth, or this ship, I guess, that kind of brought the CYBERFROG sort of essence. If you read this, it's kind of some sci-fi mumbo jumbo. Hey, it's kind of like the Superman ship. It's kind of shaped like a frog. It's got kind of this little sperm-looking thing in it, technically. It's looking for a human to put this into and kind of imbue it with its power. There's no humans around, so it just picks a frog, because it's just got to get its load out, I guess. And we've got CYBERFROG. It works fine for an origin story for a comic book character. I think it's good. And the writing, but for not really being known as a writer and being known primarily as an artist, I think he proves here that, yeah, the artists are the ones really doing the majority of the work in comic books. If you're really trying to get anywhere as just a writer yourself, man, you better know some people and be blowing them, because your job is probably the easiest, honestly. But anyway, Ethan gives us this little origin of CYBERFROG, and then bam, right away too, we get the origin of Salamandroid, who is kind of basically pretty similar to CYBERFROG, except apparently isn't imbued with quite the same power set. And we kind of get this idea of a progression of time going by, and the introduction of Heather Swain, who's apparently kind of his human buddy, kind of a human connection for CYBERFROG. And then it all goes to shit. And everything this Superman ship was kind of preparing them for and warning them about, it has come to pass. And we're out of the frying pan and into the fire pretty quickly. I'll tell you, one of the things that I really like about this with Ethan's writing is that there's kind of a past and present to this book that kind of very deftly weaves and maneuvers back and forth. And I don't know that I necessarily feel lost and I don't know where I'm at or what's going on at any point, or that I'm confused. I must give him credit for that at the very least, that for the jumping around back and forth, at least from my point of view, he did that in such a way I as a reader wasn't confused about it. So kudos to him for that. Here's a point that I want to make. It wouldn't really bother me, except Ethan Van Sciver as kind of the appointed leader of Comicsgate. It kind of would really be your boy Zach, but basically he kind of got into the limelight, and a lot of people just really attacked him online and kind of fucked up his real life. He just couldn't be the guy, and he's just like, hey, I can't do it. So Ethan's like, okay, I'll kind of be the de facto guy and step in here, kind of be a voice for this sort of thing. And one of the things they said they were really about was, hey, we want to make comic books that are pure escapism, and we don't want to have politics. We don't want to have a lot of politics involved in these books. Meanwhile, I'm probably about, let's say I'm a little under halfway through this comic, and to establish that we're in the past, that we're in 1998, besides some things in the background, besides some details like a Tool shirt. You may see somebody wearing a Tool shirt, I guess, now, but it's probably a lot less than it used to be. But anyway, to establish our time, we've got Bill Clinton on the TV talking about, hey, he's basically reciting lines from when he was caught red-handed with Monica Lewinsky, and he's just like, hey, I guess I have to bite the bullet here and admit that, yeah, I did this. It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me. And I get why you did it, because it is a shorthand to show time. However, I guess what I want to say with this is, just based on the supposed principles of Comicsgate and not having politics involved, I find it odd that you threw politics into this book. And even if you thought, hey, this is a good way to kind of show the time period, maybe you should have thought again for another way to illustrate this. That's just my kind of thought on it. Like I said, it doesn't bother me actually. However, from a principle kind of standpoint, it's kind of weird that you would break your principles for this, where it's like, it's kind of a throwaway bit in the comic. It's kind of something that shouldn't bother me, and it normally wouldn't, but since you went out of your way to say, hey, this is what we're about, and we don't do this, but yet you did it, it kind of fucking bothers me now, actually. Moving on. So anyway, CyberFrog is hanging out with Heather Swain, and Salamandroid kind of comes along. We gotta go bust up Rumblebee. I think it's in the ash can, which I apparently did not get with my comic. I probably would have if I would have been thinking at the time. I guess I didn't for whatever reason. And then also, here's the other part of it. I get it that this is a business and hey, you got to do this or that and the other. But an ash can has traditionally been basically, hey, you take some typing paper, you kind of print all this small on that so you can just fold it down the middle and staple it maybe once, maybe twice, and you throw it in the bag. You do it real cheap like that. Now, as far as I'm aware, it's kind of printed up and it's colored. It's a better quality than what a normal ash can would be. That's one thing. I kind of think it's cheap that basically, from how late this project was, that he didn't just say, you know what, fuck it. Oh, everybody's getting the ash can. There's a lot of things. I got sidetracked because they're basically talking about something that doesn't really pertain to this story. It's not super important. I got sidetracked, and for the purposes of this review, I need to just get back to the story. I need to get back to this comic book itself. That whole tangent that I kind of went off on there a little bit, and I kind of want to more. I'm going to do a whole separate video about that. I'm going to do a whole separate Comicsgate up to this point, kind of collecting my thoughts on, because anyway, we need to get back to reviewing this actual comic book in my hands. So anyway, Salamandroid and CyberFrog, they go to deal with this intergalactic menace, this swarm of these, intergalactic wasps. And we get some cool artwork. There's some real superhero elements to this artwork and the story that's kind of hitting that 90s feel for me. There's some very, to me, McFarlane Spider-Man-esque sort of shots of like CyberFrog and Salamandroid jumping through the air that I think are pretty dope. There's also a sort of horror feel to this that I think kind of gives this comic book a more cinematic edge to it. It's something I like quite a bit, actually. You've got to give the colorist, Kyle Ritter, quite a bit of credit. There's a lot of real nuance to this coloring. There's a lot of things that, if not done the way they are done here, I mean, I'm sure there's other variances you could do too and get similar effects. There's a lot of things that are done here that, if done the wrong way, they would really kind of pull away from the artwork instead of accentuating the line work. It's really pretty masterful what he has done in basically somebody, as far as I'm aware, who hasn't worked for Marvel or DC or Image, or, is a quote-unquote professional colorist. It's pretty astounding, really. What's always kind of neat, like with Image growing up, and like Ethan was basically kind of a product of this. He didn't come up at Image and go to DC. He kind of came up in an indie book, but he was of that Image era. He was absolutely influenced by people like Todd McFarlane, and it's neat to see people still getting that opportunity to come up in a way besides Image and DC and Marvel, and be able to show the world that, hey, I am an outstanding color artist, and I'm just as good, if not better, than most of the professionals in the field today. So then anyway, CyberFrog and Salamandroid are fighting Rumblebee. These space wasps are coming around, basically starting to take over, to starting to make everything into a giant sort of space wasp's nest. We've got another little scene from Bill Clinton where he's getting taken to safety. I must say, too, as I read this before and I'm kind of looking at it now as I'm making this, another one of the things that I really like about Ethan's artwork is that it is, as far as I'm concerned for comic books, it is very kinetic and it's got a lot of movement to it. There are some artists that can be very, I guess they're better for still lifes. It's kind of better for it's just some people standing around and there's a bunch of captions on the fucking page and it's very stoic. But what I like in comic books, what I like as a reader, what comic books can show is this kineticism, a very fast movements, a lot of action. And Ethan is great at showing that and moving the story along very quickly. This comic, is there a lot to it and it's Shakespearean, it's very long-winded and very intelligent and all this and that and the other? No, it's a book called CyberFrog. You know what you're getting from that title. But it is something that kind of just, for a comic book reader, it moves quickly and it gives you what you want. The third part of this, basically, CyberFrog, he's been blown up and he kind of goes into this hibernation state for a little bit to kind of heal. And when he wakes up, oh man, these fucking space wasps, they've taken over the whole fucking city at the very least, maybe more, who knows. He doesn't really know yet, but he has put in a tracker on Heather Swain and he's got to go find her. We go to her life and show some kids, and then we find out they're Heather's kids, and a lot of time has really gone by. And then the comic's just over. This is a pretty decent comic. This isn't the best thing by any means ever. However, for somebody who's not known as a writer, this is definitely a more than passing grade. Overall, I'll just say it now, I'll probably reiterate it again, I'll probably give this about a 95% overall. He did give you a lot of value here with the pages that he actually put out. To try to compress what he's done here into a 20-page industry standard book, man, that'd suck big time. It just wouldn't be a great book. But what he has done with just kind of the structure of this alone, it's a good way for you to kind of get caught up with the origin and kind of the basic mission statement of CyberFrog and Salamandroid, mission statement of CyberFrog and Salamandroid, and Heather Swain and his cast of characters, and kind of the general deal. Then it shows you, hey, this whole thing you were here for, oh, they're coming. They're coming. They're coming to get us. The aliens are fucking coming. And then it kind of sets up to, like every comic, hey, guess what? Get the next issue to see how it continues. I'd give this comic probably a 95% out of 100. He tried to basically end this on a little bit of a cliffhanger too. You can kind of tell some time has gone by because, hey, she's got, 3 kids now? Is that what's going on here? She's got some kids now, so a good amount of time has obviously went by that CyberFrog's kind of been hibernating. But it just kind of, the way it's done with her just kind of standing there and saying Froggy, it just kind of falls flat. And bam, that's it. The issue's over. I guess that's kind of all I really got on the issue itself for the review. I will talk about kind of what I think about Comicsgate in general here before too long. While I liked the comic and I want to continue reading the series, $25 a book, man, even at the lowest deal, even if it's a chromium cover, this and that, the other, I don't know that I can really, I'll do this in another video. Anyway, guys, thanks for checking out my review, and as always, remember to hit the pipe harder than you hit your wife and kids.
In a dystopian future where our elected leaders are liars, everyone is a clone after the devastation of the war, and all the continents of the world have conglomerated into one nation called Numerica. President Barack Obama has illegally enacted the terror side effect to maintain power and preserve the status quo through fear and ignorance. From the word terrorism, the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims, and the suffix side, the act of killing. The terror side effect is a top-secret government mind control program designed to turn the average person into a public shooter, killing everyone they can for no apparent reason and then themselves, leaving the rest of society afraid of each other and apathetic to their rights being revoked by the government for safety, because it's the easiest way to control everyone. Black Osama in the Terror Side Effect is a political science fiction novel that asks its characters and readers, how much control do you really have? Now available at all major ebook retailers.